Good day to our dear panelists, Ma'am Eva de la Peña, Ma'am Kino Veloso, Ma'am Cecilia Esguera, and Ma'am Teresita Manalo. Good day also to our research advisor, Ma'am Jessica Noveno, our guidance counselor, Ma'am Christine Joy Caisip, and to our principal, Ma'am Juana A. Peñano. In partial fulfillment of the requirements for research in English, mathematics, and science subjects, we present to you our research. We are from Group 1 Disiplinado, and our research is entitled The Academic Effects of Bullying to Selected Grade 7 to Grade 10 Students in Bac State National High School, School Year 2023 to 2024. But before we formally begin, let me introduce you to myself and my members. My name is Joy Andre C. De Lima, and I am the leader of this research. And my members are Ian Amulong, J. Luba Hinting, Irish Begota, John Lens Bermas, Wilmar Cortesano, Ayesa Linde Lima, Lester Gibaga, Althea Manalo, Ivan Mojica, Danica Ordoña, and Mark David Salamo. Without further ado, let us begin our research starting with the introduction.
According to Sue, Lee, Yan and Sang in 2022, bullying is becoming alarmingly common among adolescents, and it significantly affects their physical and mental health. But what is bullying? According to Kalman and Holgren in 2021, bullying involves repeated hurtful actions between peers where imbalance of power exists. And according to Bullington in 2019, bullying can take in many forms, including physical, social, verbal, and cyberbullying.
The purpose of this study is to make individuals aware of the impact or potential impact of bullying. On the other hand, we also study about bullying, not only what its effect, but also what are the consequences of it on their attendance, academic performance, confidence.
The content of Table 1 is the demographic profile of students in terms of age, gender, grade, and types of bullying received, namely cyber, physical, social, and verbal bullying.
The content of Table 2 is the student's perception in bullying in terms of perspective, self-esteem, and mental health.
The contents of Table 3 is the impact of bullying in school in terms of performance, attendance, and group activities.
The related literature of this study comes from UNESCO in 2023 entitled International Day Against Violence and Bullying at School, including cyberbullying, states that a significant number of children and adolescents around the world face school violence and bullying, including cyberbullying. It affects their health, well-being, and education as a result.
Another literature that in written by Aranita 2023 entitled DepEd, Cases of Bullying Raised in the Philippine School State, that in the Philippines, the Department of Education, DepEd, reported that bullying cases have increased in the last 7 years, except during the COVID-19 pandemic. Based on the reported bullying case in the past 7 years, it is concluded that 56.79% of bullying were physical, 25.43% were social, 5.92% were gender-based, 6.3% were cyberbullying, 5.83% was caused by retaliation of revenge.
The related study of this research study comes from Darmaki, Saba, and Harun in 2022 entitled Prevalence of Bullying Behavior Among Students from a National University in the United Arab Emirates. A cross-sectional study states the prevalence rate of some students in UAE being exposed to or engaged in bullying was 26.3%. That most common type of bullying were verbal and physical bullying.
Another study that conducted by Chu and Bargo in the 2021 entitled Bullying and Other Risk Factors Related to Adolescent Social Behaviors in the Philippines. A look into a 2011 GSHS survey states that the prevalence of bullying in the Philippines is higher than the other Southeast Asian countries, Approximately 47.7% of Filipino students are reported being bullied.
The significance of the study for teachers. Understanding the academic effects of bullying can help the teacher to identify and address the specific needs of the students who are or have been bullied. This knowledge can support strategies to create a safe and inclusive learning environment for all of the students. Significance of the study for students. Research on the academic effects of bullying can raise awareness among students about the potential impact of bullying on their academic performance. It can enlighten and empower them to finally stand and speak up against bullies and also to seek help from the teachers and peers and actively attend and participate in creating a positive school culture.
Significance of the study for parents lies in equipping them with the information and understanding needed to support their child effectively. By being aware of the effects of bullying, parents can play an active role in creating a safe and nurturing environment for their child, promoting their well-being and resilience. Significance of the study for future researchers. The study can serve as a reference point for future researchers to build upon and expand upon the existing knowledge. By continuing to explore these areas, future researchers can uncover new perspectives and develop innovative approaches to address bullying in different contexts.
This study used a descriptive design enable the researcher to precisely and methodically describe a population of circumstance of phenomenon. The research described the academic effects of bullying to students.
This research used convenient sampling technique. The researchers chose this technique because it allowed the researchers to select samples that are easier to access. Convenient sampling involves using respondents that is convenient to the researchers. It has no pattern whatsoever in acquiring these respondents. Now let's proceed to the summary of findings of our survey.
1.1 age. There are more participants whose age is 13 than others. The total percentage show that 32.32% of participants are 13 years old.
There are more women than men that have participated in our study. The total percentage shows that 61.62% of participants are female.
1.3 grade. There are more grade 7 students that have participated in our study than the other grades. The total percentage shows that 40.40% of participants are from grade 7.
1.4 types of bullying received. There are more participants have the experience of verbal bullying than the other three. Its frequency falls in 61, meaning 61 students have chosen the verbal bullying.
Table 2.1 perspective shows that the respondent is often affected positively by the different types of bullying with an average weighted mean of 2.834.
2.2 Self-esteem. The participant's self-esteem is always affected negatively by the different types of bullying. The average weighted mean of the question is at 3.199.
The mental health of the students are often affected positively or that is not really affected at all by the different types of bullying. Its average weighted mean among the 10 questions falls in 2.907.
3.1 Performance. The way of performing tasks or the performance of the students are often affected positively or that is not really affected at all by the different types of bullying. Its average weighted mean among 10 questions falls in 2.820.
3.2 Attendance. The participants' attendance is often affected negatively by the different types of bullying. The average weighted mean of the 10 questions is at 2.075.
3.3 Group Activities. Because of bullying, the group activities of the respondents are always affected positively by the different types of bullying, and its average weighted mean among 10 questions is 3.0.
Now that we're done in the summary of findings, let's move on to their conclusions.
Age majority of the respondents are 13 years old, which concludes the 13 years old student tend to get bullied more than those in the age of 12 below and 14 above. It is similar to the study conducted by Usman 2023, which their majority of respondents are 14 below.
Gender majority of the respondents are female, which includes that females are ones who get bullied more than men. It is different to the study conducted by Cosma in 2022, which suggests that boys get bullied more than the girls.
Majority of the respondents are grade 7 students, which conclude that the grade 7 student gets bullied more than those in higher grade. This is different to the study conducted by Law 2023, which suggests that apart from grade 11, grade 8 gets bullied more than the other.
1.4 types of bullying received. Majority of the respondents received more verbal bullying more than the other types of bullying. This concludes that verbal bullying, such as name-calling, is the most received type of bullying among the participants. This result is different from another study conducted by Anteri 2016, which shows that students get physically bullied more than the other types.
For the conclusion of perspective, majority of the respondents' perspective is often affected positively by bullying or that it is not really affected at all. This concludes that their perspective towards life is still positive most of the time despite being bullied. However, a study conducted by Wasim in 2014 suggests that bullying leads to a negative perspective about life.
Majority of the respondents' self-esteem is always affected negatively by bullying. This concludes that their self-esteem decreases every time they get harassed or bullied. Similarly, a study conducted by Ayub in 2001 suggests that the victim on bullying have very low self-esteem.
2.3 Mental health. Majority of the respondents' mental health is often affected positively or that is not really affected at all. This concludes that the respondents still maintain good mental health almost every time despite getting bullied. However, this result different from another study conducted by Go, Tan, and Zhu in 2022, which states that bullying negatively predicts mental health levels.
Majority of the respondents' way of performing tasks or their performance is often affected positively or that is not really affected at all. This concludes that they can still manage to perform tasks and maintain a good performance despite being bullied. However, a study conducted by Rusty Holz in 2021 suggests that bullying has a negative impact on all the competencies.
3.2 Attendance. Majority of the respondents' attendance is often affected negatively by the different types of bullying. This concludes that they loses their will and motivation to attend school most of the time because of bullying or fear of getting bullied. Similarly, another study conducted by Alanco in 2023 determined that bullying is associated with truancy.
3.3 Group activities. Majority of the respondents' cooperation in group activities is always affected positively, or that is not affected by bullying at all. This concludes that they still manage to cooperate with their group mates in performing activities every time despite getting bullied. However, a study conducted by Hernandez in 2016 suggests that bullying is linked to the disengagement of students.
Now let's move on to the recommendations of us for the future researchers.
Have cooperation between all members. Cooperation is the major key to success. In doing research, one cannot stand without the help of others.
Get respondent that is appropriate to your research. The respondent must have experienced the subject that you are giving a point. Otherwise, if you would mess up the score of your questionnaires.
Listen and follow the instructions given by the teacher in order to make your research clean, neat, and easy to read. Your survey questionnaire clear and easily to understand. Use lighter words and not deep ones to get the desired score of your question.
Now that we're done in explaining the contents of our research, let us move on to questions. Question number 1. How will your study contribute to the body of knowledge in education? Our study will contribute to the body of knowledge in education as an eye-opener for those who are being bullied to finally stand up for themselves and have the will of performing activities, attending classes, and participating in group activities without fear of getting bullied. We believe that one cannot progress and learn properly with fear in their minds.
What limitations did you encounter in conducting your research? The limitations that we encounter in conducting our research is that some students are not serious in answering our research, or that some doesn't understand our questions completely and just answer based on their gut. This results in a score that is different from our desires. Another limitation that we encounter in the some students are shy to raise their hand to participate in our research, probably because of fear of getting bullied.
What do you plan to do with your research project after graduation? We intend to inform others about the importance of our research and to also spread awareness about the negative effects of bullying. We would also use it as a guide for the upcoming researches that we will encounter in our journey.
Question number 4. What would you change if you were to conduct the study again? We would change the questions in our research. We will use lighter words instead of deep ones in order for the respondents to understand the question more clearly, and their answer will be accurate based on what they have experienced.
Question 5. In percentage, how much did you contribute to the group in completing the research? Enumerate your part. I contributed a total of 17% in our group in completing our research. As a leader, I guided my members in doing their parts, and I also corrected their grammatical errors. I typed in the informations given to me by my members in chapter 1 to 4 using Microsoft Word. I also looked for sources in the internet and helped create questions. I created the preliminary and appendices of our research. I participated in the making of our PowerPoint, and lastly, I created the conclusion of Table 1 and the research explanation and conclusion of 3.2 attendance.
I contribute a total of 11% in our group in completing our research. I look for resources in the internet, created sampling procedure, created question, and tallied the scores. I also created the result explanation of conclusion of mental health.
I contributed a total of 4% in our group in completing our research. I looked for the definition of terms used. I also created the result explanation of gender in chapter 3.
I contribute a total of 5% in our group. In completing our research, I looked for sources in the internet, created question, and created the result explanation of age.
I contributed a total of 11% in our group in completing our research. I created the significance of the study, created the data gathering procedure, creating questions, and created result explanation and conclusion of self-esteem.
I contributed a total of 4% in our group in completing our research. I created the conceptual framework and I looked for definition of terms used.
I contributed a total of 12% in our group in completing our research. I looked for the sources in the internet, created research instrument, created questions about perspective and group activities, tallied the score, created the result explanation and conclusions of perspective in chapter 3 and 4.
I contributed a total of 4% in our group in completing our research. I looked for definition of terms used and created the result explanation of the types of bullying received in chapter 3.
I contribute a total of 14% in our group. In completing our research, I create the SOP as well the local of the study and the statistical treatment of data. I also create questions and help tally them. I participated in making PowerPoint presentation for our defense and I create the research explanation and conclusion of performance.
I contributed a total of 2% in completing our research. I look for sources in the internet.
I contributed a total of 12% in our group in completing our research. I made the scope and delimitation for Chapter 1, research design and respondents for Chapter 2, created questions and tallied them, made the result of explanation of group activities in Chapter 3, and conclusion of group activities for Chapter 4.
I contributed a total of 4% in our group in completing our research. I look for the definition of terms used as well as create the result, explanation of grade in Chapter 3.
And that is all for the presentation of our research entitled The Academic Effects of Bullying to Selected Grade 7 to Grade 10 Students in Baca State National High School, school year 2023 to 2024. Again, we are from Group 1 Disiplinado. Thank you very much for listening and God bless.